The other thing that I do want to highlight is trauma-specific processing, however, does tend to help with some of that memory consolidation process and depotentiating activation. So, for example, the idea that processing might make somebody a less credible witness, I would say the reverse is true because trauma impacts our speech centers, it impacts our emotional regulation, our ability to be in our body. So, what happens is if I haven't processed my trauma, it often is going to feel very alive and very terrifying for me, which will cause people to flip their lid to send those higher order parts of the brain, including our speech centers, offline. And a lot of times what we'll get instead is a freeze response. I don't know. So I don't know is a very common freeze response and happens quite often with trauma when that higher order part of the brain and our speech centers go offline. But if, on the other hand, I were to process the trauma in a safe, structured way, not talk based therapy, not necessarily our forensic interviewing, but actually processing at that sensory level, the way trauma is stored in the body, the nervous system, the senses, if we're working through those central details at a sensory level, what's going to happen is it actually helps to depotentiate the trauma. So taking the charge away from the trauma. And it also seems to help consolidate memories in proper space and time. And I'm just speaking to what we see at our center with our model. It often in the same session, people will say, it feels changed, it feels different, it feels further away, it feels less clear, it feels like a memory. That's memory consolidation, where it no longer feels like this is just constantly reoccurring. Now, if I have depotentiated my trauma and my trauma feels like it's in the past, it feels like a memory, I'm more likely to be able to remain better regulated during, for example, giving a testimony or testifying or even doing an interview, because I'm recognizing that that threat has passed. So that's one piece that I would say, in fact, is quite opposite to a lot of times the myths that come up.